I don't have any question.
Okay. Just surviving. Cool.
I am.
Awesome. Well, again, surviving's better than not, I guess.
What do they say? Then the alternative. Yep.
Yep. Absolutely.
Heart rate's good considering everything. So
Whoop whoop. Onward and upward. Alrighty, so we'll chat a little bit here. I'm gonna structure these calls a little bit differently. So as I continue, I think I've kind of mentioned about building a framework necessarily around, maybe I haven't talked about this with everybody, but building more of like a framework around the work that I do so that there's a little bit more structure and guidance for people and kind of for them to see almost like a visual roadmap of where are we and what are we doing and what is like the purpose. So these calls are going to start to get structured a little bit more that kind of, I don't want to say blend, but like complement the work that we're kind of working through. And it's not that we're all working on the same things, but I definitely think that all these things are things that we all need to hear more than once, anyways. They're good reminders. So maybe that's like one time I'm talking about something that's, nutrition related or something, tracking food or whatever. Or like tonight, I'm going to be talking about what I call the identity roller coaster and how this plays such a role in our journey on the path, on the whatever you want to call it, because that really, without digging into who we think we are and who we believe we are to be, we actually can't really change because your identity really shapes all of your actions. It shapes all of your beliefs. It shapes all of your decisions. And so I want to kind of show you what I feel like is a little bit of what we go through during this process. So when we are what I mean by this is, have you ever felt like when things are all clicking, like everything is like great, you feel super disciplined, you feel like nothing is going to bring you down, you feel super confident, just like man, everything's like clicking, but the moment that something goes wrong, suddenly, all of a sudden, everything else seems to fall in line with that. And it's not just, with our health, but it's like all of a sudden, I can't do this, or all of a sudden, I can't do this. And this is falling apart over here. And now this is falling apart over here. And then we head down that trend, right? So, for instance, when we're tracking our food, we're motivated. When we're getting in our steps, we feel proud of ourselves. When we finally gain some level of consistency with anything, we feel, quote, on track or back on the horse or, I've fallen and now I got back up type of thing, right? Because the identity that we have, we are tying that to the performance that we give or the actions that we take or the behaviors that we have and not necessarily the values of which our identity is actually shaped in, right? So when we feel like we're doing good at things, all of a sudden I'm disciplined or I'm confident or I'm good at this. Or we could even phrase something in a different way that we give ourselves a little bit more grace, like I'm learning or I did better this week than last week, right? And all of a sudden, you're like gaining this momentum. A lot of people call this motivation. You're gaining this momentum. And then all of a sudden, you miss a workout, like you get a crazy call at work and it sends you in a tizzy. Family stuff comes into play. So now all of a sudden, we're emotionally eating because we don't have any control. And now we're broken and can't be fixed. Then we're off our plan because we had to travel. And it's like, see, this doesn't work for me because now I can't do this. Right. And we go straight from a moment to a meaning to a meaning to a new identity or an old identity that's coming back. And suddenly you're at the bottom of this hill and it's like, God, I always do this. I start off really strong and then I tank, right? And so what I want to show you is kind of like my own visual of what I literally created because I was like, this is really sometimes how I think it feels being on this roller coaster. And I use a lot of the same emotions because I feel like these emotions come up multiple times. I don't feel like there's a lot of new or different emotions that happen. I feel like it's constantly the same thing repeating itself over and over again, right? So, kind of what I was talking about, and I'm going to go a little bit. You tell I don't do this very often. There we go. Can you tell I actually share more than I present? Huh? Okay, so we're here down at the very start where we get this like motivation. We're going to start a diet. We're going to get a new training regimen. We're going to drink 1,000 gallons of water a day. We're going to get 1,000,000 steps in this week. We're going to do all these things. And it's like, okay. And like maybe Monday and Tuesday come and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. And then like Wednesday, it's like, yes, yes, yes. But then Thursday comes and we get this call or we, get a ticket on our way to work because we were rushing and we were all of a sudden doubt starts creeping in, anxiety starts taking over. We hit that self-sabotage button and then we spiral out of control until we get that motivation again. We start back again. We're like, okay, this is the time. I'm really excited about this. I am ready. I got my new shoes and my new gym outfit. We're going to crush it. Oh, I got to the gym twice this week. Oh, I got to the gym twice this week, but how am I going to start duplicating that every week? What if I can't do this next week? Can I even get there another time this week? Fear starts creeping in. It kind of peaked down a little bit. We get a little bit of motivation. We head back down to the doubt, the fear, the self-sabotage, and it's this roller coaster that keeps going up and down and up and down and up and down. And there's no steady. There is no in the middle, right? This is how we start to shape our identity. Our thoughts become our beliefs become who we are, okay? And that's kind of this roller coaster that we continuously ride on over and over and over again. So, a lot of this comes because we don't put a period after a sentence. And what I mean by that is we have this phrase, so that means, right? We have this phrase of, if I do this, that means this. And we make meaning out of the things that we do or we don't do, the actions that we take or don't take, the behaviors that we fall into or we fall out of, right? I didn't track my food today, so that means I don't care. I suck at this. So that means I need more willpower. That means all these things. I'm feeling sad. So that means I'm weak. I never feel strong. I always feel this way, right? I slipped up. So that means I never follow through. I can never be consistent, right? And the moment that something happens, and this could be an array of things, we attach meaning to it. And that meaning becomes the story. And then that story becomes who we are. Okay. I've done this 100 million times over. I still do it, right? I don't know if anybody watched my TikTok or anything like that today, but literally, my podcast that's come, well, Friday, if you listen to Friday's podcast, it talked about how even as a health coach, I'm like, maybe I need to go on a GLP-1. I mean, everybody's doing it. Why can't I do it? I'm struggling. I have food noise. I have all these things. I should just go do this. And that's turning into, because I can't do this, maybe I'm not a good coach. Maybe I shouldn't be a coach. Maybe I'm not good at my job because I'm not following through and I can't be consistent. I can't do all these things. That's tomorrow's episode. That's coming out. Like, so because of this, I'm making meaning about this because the internet says I have to have shredded abs 24/7. Or, well, I can't believe that you coach people. You look like that and you coach people. The internet is a mean Wild West, okay? So that stuff still happens and it can happen in a multitude of different places. It's not just your health. It can be anywhere. It can be in your work, in your relationships. That was another piece that always came through was my first marriage, right? This happened, so it must mean that X, right? So what I want you to do is start putting a period. I talked a little bit about on the SIP framework to pause. Like we need to pause, right? We need to put a little speed bump in that, if you will, to start separating our thoughts and our feelings. So, excuse me, instead of saying I'm discouraged, so I'm failing, we can say I'm discouraged and leave it. I am sad. Leave it. I'm not tracking well right now and leave it, right? Because at that point, when we don't make it mean something, we stop making it personal. You can't make it permanent because you're not attaching anything to it. And honestly, it's a little bit dramatic every time. It's like, oh, this thing happened and it means this about me. And oh, this thing over here happened and it means like how much energy are we spending dragging ourselves up and down this emotional, I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna say it is a ride. We're just dragging ourselves up and down, and it is kind of dramatic, right? It is a little bit drama based, a little bit drama filled. So we need to start letting these emotions just be emotions versus dragging, well, it must mean this about me. It must mean this about me, right? I experienced that a lot, honestly, in my previous marriage. That was a really big identity shift for me. I remember was it seventh year married for Will and I. Honestly, that's when he quit his overseas job and we were trying to like readjust as a family. I had children going into high school, children leaving elementary, going into middle school. Like everything was such a big change that year. Literally, I was like, maybe I am just a 7 year wife. Maybe I am only good for 7 years. And then like I just can't make it past that. Like that's just it's got to be who I am. Now that's not like saying like it's not like we were tossing the word divorce around or anything like that. Like that happened daily in my previous marriage. But but those identity pieces were still are technically really still embedded in me. So instead of saying things like, "Man, this is a rough season of life," or integrating back as a family is really hard. Done, period, right? I would go, wow, this is a really hard season of life. I must be a 7 year wife. Man, integrating back as a family of five is really hard. I must only be a 7 year wife. It must mean something about me. You know what that also does? It also gives us a quote unquote reason, AKA, in my opinion, kind of an excuse to fall back into those patterns, to fall back into those habits that keep us stuck, that keep us from growing. Because it's like, oh, see, I can't do that because that's who I am. I had this she might actually watch this. My one in-person client, she's a hybrid client, and I'm just not a morning person. I was like, well, of course you're not, because every time you say I'm not a morning person, that's what you believe. Maybe you are a morning person. Now, and I think that this is where we get it twisted because the conversation we had was, I was like, I didn't say that you enjoy every day waking up and training at 6:30 in the morning, right? Because she's like, oh, I was up at 4 o'clock today. I should just gotten up and started getting shit done, but I'm just not a morning person. Well, you could have been a morning person that day, right? So I think it's like this whole piece of like who we are. My whole life, I'm just not good at math. I really suck at math. I'm terrible at math. That's why I was a music teacher. I could count to four, start back at one. Count to four, start back at one. That's why I was a music teacher. It's very simple, right? Even though music technically is math, it's for me, it actually all makes sense, right? So but that's who I am. I suck at math. I'm a terrible math person. The other thing I'm really bad at is selling myself, right? I'm a terrible salesperson for myself. I could sell anybody else 1,000 times over, but to tell somebody why they should hire me, I suck at it. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. It's awful. I'm awful at it. These are all identity pieces that I have had to really work through and really go, okay, this is just because I feel this way doesn't mean it's my reality or truth. Just because I feel like I can't sell myself doesn't mean I can't. It just means that's what I believe about myself to be true, right? Just because tracking your food is hard doesn't mean that you can't be healthy. Just because I'm just trying to throw out like actual shit. Just because we eat out a lot doesn't mean that we can't start to become people that eat at home more. Just because that's always what you've done doesn't mean that's what you have to be, right? So we just have to start to let that emotion or that moment just be, let it go without taking that and going up and down that emotional roller coaster. So why do we want to put the period and leave the meaning or leave the attachment to identity? Because emotions are temporary. This is why I never believe in motivation. If you only do something when you're motivated, when you're feeling good, when you're happy, when you're excited, you get exactly what happened in my Ruthlessly Consistent Challenge, where I had 114 people sign up and I have less than 10 that actually finished. Those are people that started shit on an emotional high. Oh, it's different this time. I'm gonna do it. It's only 30 days. I can do this. Ching, 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 ching up the roller coaster until they're like, wait, fuck, I gotta do this every day for 30 days? Nah, that's too hard. I'm not that person, right? So emotions are temporary. Behaviors, they're not temporary. We can put things in place so that those behaviors start to anchor you down, start to kind of become. I always talk about this. It's always been the phrase that I've said, which is it's not something I do, it's who I am. It's not something I do. I'm not just a person that drinks water. I drink water. Done. I'm not just a person that moves my body daily. I I move my body daily because it is embedded in who I am. Okay. So when we are able to put a period instead of having this attachment that comes on us, we can actually define ourselves as somebody that's learning, somebody that's practicing a skill set, somebody who's trying to build consistency, somebody who is trying to change, and within that change requires growth. So the goal is never to eliminate the up and down because honestly, we can never get up without a little bit of down. And honestly, that down piece kind of is what gives us that momentum to come back up. Okay? That typically when we are feeling it, when we are feeling a lot of resistance with something particular, that is a place to dig because it's usually a little bit bigger than the thing. So again, if you're having a really hard time getting in your steps, like, oh, I do really good for 3 days and then I just can't do it. There's something deeper there than just you're not a walker or you can't get in your steps. It's deeper than that. If you're a person that struggles tracking your food, it's not just, ugh, it's hard. It is hard, but it's deeper than that. What are you afraid that that's going to show? Are you afraid that's going to show you what you're actually consuming? Because that's nothing but data? Because it can't lie? Right? Those kinds of pieces are the pieces that start to come out. With every single time that we have a little bit of a down, we're going to have another up and then a down and then an up. And again, we're looking for that trend, but we're also looking for some neutrality where it's not that we're never going to be high or low, but it's also going to be about how long do we stay high, how long do we stay low, and how high above and how low below do we actually go within that? Because when you saw that roller coaster, it's like peaking and then bottoming out and coming back up and a little down and a way up here and a way down there and all the things instead of more like this here. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about places where you start to do this, where you think that you're doing this, where you notice yourself doing this. Like where am I actually put attaching meaning to something that I really don't have control over and I don't have to make it mean something about me, but I'm making it mean something about me, right? Because that really at the end of the day we have to figure out how to start shifting from I suck at eating at home and I just don't plan well enough. And so that means I'm just a person that's never going to be healthy because I just can't do it. I just can't do it. It's not who I am. I don't like to. I don't like to eat at home. I don't like to plan. I don't like to cook. I don't like to, because it's just not who I am. I've never been that way. And all of a sudden now we've just, and then every time we go back in that loop, it just solidifies that identity piece over and over again. So that's my spiel today. That's my identity. I'm getting stuck here in my blanket. That's my identity piece of identity work, the identity roller coaster, the ups and the downs, finding this level of neutrality, right? I can drop in a little like worksheet too. I'm gonna kind of create here about like Maybe if you need like a pattern or to find out what is it, what am I doing here? Like, what is a negative emotion I felt today? How did it make me feel? What did I do and how did I respond? Right? If I feel this way, what is something that I can do to change it or to help me cope a little bit better with it? Or you can do the same thing for positive feelings. That way, we're not getting to that euphoric place where it's like, and then crash and burn. Questions, thoughts, comments, concerns. I have to drink water. I've done a lot of talking today.
I like the positive aspect rather than the negative.
Mhm.
I
What
think,
about that?
well, I think it's better for people who are struggling, like me, to
Hmm.
be more to find the positive in the day rather than finding the negative. Because the negative just makes it easier to be more negative. Whereas if it's positive, okay, I did it. I tracked my food once today, so now I can track it 2 days, 2 times tomorrow. It just gives you a better goal rather than a negative goal. That's all I'm thinking.
Hmm. And what did we talk about before we started recording? What did I say? Because you're like, well, I didn't start tracking it till it was
Yep.
half gone.
Yep.
What did I say?
Half is better than not at all.
Half is
So,
better than not at all.
and
See,
that
and
was a positive response rather than a negative.
yeah, because
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, because that's the truth behind it. And keep in mind too, your brain is wired to show you what you want to see. So when you want to see negative, it's going to show you every single reason. Oh, I suck. Okay, I'm going to show you brain. The brain's going to say, I'm going to show you every reason that you suck. Every single one. And it's going to go like this. It's actually a piece of our brain called the RAS, and it will show you everything. That's why, like, when you get a brand new car, all of a sudden you're starting to see cars. Man, I've never seen X color car. Now I'm seeing all these cars because your brain is literally filtering out a bajillion things in a minute. And now it's focusing on the things that you're thinking about, or the things that you think you want to think about, or the things that your subconscious is thinking about, right? And that's what ends up happening. That's why that happens. All of a sudden, you never noticed this thing before, and all of a sudden you notice it. How did that get there? All of a sudden, it's always been there. It's just now you noticed it because your brain was like, what is this thing over here? What is that subconscious thought that we had? And now look at that, right? So the more that you can go, I yeah, and it's almost, I don't want to say it's kind of tricking yourself, but it is kind of tricking yourself because it's literally just telling yourself, okay, I tracked half of it. Maybe tomorrow I can get a whole meal. Great job. Way to get it done today. That's what I did, right? Instead of going, oh, I just realized it was just only half. So what's the point? Why bother? It's not even worth it. Well, guess what happens to that? Tomorrow, your brain is going to remember why bother? There's no point. It's not worth it and not do it because it's going to say that's not important.
Right.
You know, that's the hard part. So that's my 2 cents there. And I honestly think, I mean, what is being negative going to do? I mean, to sit here and berate somebody or to be like, oh, that's it? That's all you got done? Well, why is that? How does that helpful? Like, that wouldn't be helpful to me. I would shut down. You know, what again, like, oh, if you don't even care, why the hell should I care? Like, we're supposed to be a team and working collaboratively together, so that it wouldn't make sense, personally, I think. Any thoughts? Anybody else? Terry, any thoughts? Any comments? Any questions?
One thing I was thinking through, a couple things actually, is I've gone through this identity. Um, it was almost kind of a crisis level, honestly, with a past job, and not necessarily this journey. Um, it was before I entered into this with you, and it took a lot of work to pull myself out of that. And I didn't even realize like how bad it really was. And it was after I had left on my choice, but the ground was rumbling that they wanted me out of there. So, um, I think that's very common for women to do, to map that, whether that's being a mother, whether that's being a working woman, whether that's being fitness, nutrition, health, all of the above, quite frankly, right? So it can be like a mental overload, an emotional overload. Um, so I don't experience it as much here with this journey. It can happen because
Hmm.
I'm not immune to it at all, but I've gotten pretty good at just shutting that down. And I like how your reminder of just end the thought right there. Like just end it. That's the work you can put in, because it's when you start getting into the if this then that, or if this then this means this. And you've shared that with me one on one. Like it doesn't mean anything. Just leave it lie and kind of move on. And that's not easy to do because we do hold on to things and we are emotionally attached most times,
Yep.
whether it be to a food choice, whether it be to whatever. And then second, I just wanted to say that for this same kind of scenario, this identity thing, you were kind of giving examples of kind of what we do to ourselves. And as you are aware of my personal situation, which I won't get into all the gory details here, but there's some of that that's out of our control of what we're being told. And you kind of touched on it with the internet being mean and all this stuff. So you also have to pay attention to those other inputs, because it may not always just be your own voice that's saying that, or your own actions that are, or your own behaviors that are, contributing to this identity um, crisis, or whatever you want to call it, challenge, maybe that's a better word, with the ups and downs. Sometimes those things are completely out of your control.
Mm.
So that's where I will tell myself, roller coaster analogy, buckle in tighter, like hang on,
Yep.
and do your best to get through to the end, to the finish line or whatever, or remove yourself from it too. There's
Yep.
always that option, you
Yep.
know? And sometimes that's not an option. So how do you deal with it? How do you handle it? Well, you could come home and eat the whole bag of potato chips, I guess, or stop at the drive-through on the way home because you're going to get some comfort of that. But then you've just entered your own action and behavior into something that was completely out of your control. So that at times is challenging for me.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say necessarily, I'll eat to find comfort, but it fatigues me to no end. And perhaps then I don't work out or I don't go for a walk because I'm just freaking exhausted from
Yep.
those things that are out of my control, and just trying to prevent it from pushing me off the path or off the cart or off the horse, or whatever
Yep.
you want to say, right?
Yep.
So that that is definitely exhausting. And that's every single day, driving, working. Maybe it's an interaction with a teacher and a kid. Maybe it's, you know, interaction with a spouse or a partner, whatever, right? I mean,
Yep.
gosh, that's all over.
It is. And I think that the input is interesting piece because we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. But I think a really great question, and especially in this space, right, where we have, well, if I can't be perfect, I'm a failure. If I can't do it all, then what's the point? If I can't do XYZ, then why bother? And I think a really great internal question you have to ask yourself is this: whose voice is that? Because the majority of the time, it's not your voice. It's somebody else's voice that has been implemented or implanted into you. So maybe it's something that, your dad would say, or your mom would say, or your siblings would say, or your cousin, or your aunt, or your teacher, or your whoever would say that if it's not this, then you're this. So that input is really important. Like kind of like I mentioned, like the people on the internet are mean because they will say very unkind things about people's bodies. Like, oh, I can't believe you're a coach. Like you coach people and you look like that. You train people. I would never hire a trainer that looks like you. That is disgusting. Blah blah. You're fat. Blah. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about what people will say. Well, I can internalize that and say, well, I shouldn't be a coach because jackwad on the internet said I'm fat, and I can internalize it. And so that must mean I must not be a good coach or I shouldn't coach because jackwad said I'm fat. And you're not wrong there because that's not my inner voice talking. That's somebody else's voice talking, right? When we even use that language with ourselves, even and it might not and we might be the ones going, oh my gosh, I have this fat roll, or oh my gosh, look at me here, look at the thing, and look at the jowls, that might be us saying that to ourselves, but where did we see that, or where have we heard that? Where, I fortunately didn't have this experience, but a lot of people in this container have, where they saw their mom constantly dieting, where they saw their mom constantly watching what she ate or counting her this or telling, her kids, you're not allowed to eat that. Or, having food in the house that was off limits to the kids because it wasn't for them because they'll get fat or they'll whatever. So they would take those contents or that food and they would hide in their closet and eat it, or in their cars and eat it, or wherever, right? So even when that input isn't yourself saying those things, or it could be yourself, that it's like, oh my gosh, I can't eat this because that's going to make me fat. Did you create that thought, or did somebody else create that thought for you? And now you're just going and utilizing that thought from somebody else. So I think that's a really important piece to I don't want to say, I mean, it has to be incorporated, but it can be a lot. It can be really overwhelming to every single time you have a thought or a feeling, or like, what does this mean? And, I can just put a period. Okay, whose voice is this? And then you're like going through all these things and all these steps. And I think sometimes the easiest thing is just to put the period on. And it is hard to lay it down and let it be, but sometimes that's the easiest thing to do as well. It's just like, I'm not happy today. I don't like the way my body looks today. The scale did me dirty, period. Like,
Hmm.
and then just moving on. And you can always kind of come back to those things and think about them through a little bit later and in the day or the whatever, where there's again been some space where we have a little bit of space between how we are feeling and how what our emotions are telling us, and then how we react and respond to those emotions. Because, yeah, it's really great to go through that drive-through or to eat the things or to drink the whiskey or to do the whatevers. And they feel really great in the moment. And then you're like, why did I do that? And then there goes that coaster again. It's like never ending,
Hmm.
you know? It's hard. It's a hard one when it's not your
The,
voice.
in- the internet's good in the fact that we can do what we're doing tonight,
Yes.
but there's so many, in my opinion, there's so many negatives to the internet that sometimes outweigh the positives. And
Yep.
then the one thing about working with you is there isn't that closet feeling like you have to put something away. You just have to own up to the fact that you're eating it,
Yeah.
which to me, I did Weight Watchers. I've done it stuff on my own. Way back, I did something else when I was in college, and I don't even know if they even have anything like it today.
What is it?
It was Nancy Taylor. It was a charm thing that we had to go through. I was in business school, so it was about, how to dress and all that, but one of the things was to lose weight and didn't give you any pathway for it. You just were to do it. So I
Super
had to come
helpful.
so I had to come up with my own plan, which I did, and I lost weight, but 4 children later and life moves on and whatever. It is what it is.
Interesting.
So, but this time it's it's a hot mess, but I just realized that I don't have to hide anything. I just have to be honest with myself and ultimately to you because
I'm the one trying to help. Can't
yeah,
help you if I don't know.
that's right.
You know,
So,
and sometimes that's the hardest part.
yeah, it's like tonight I fixed a nice dinner and I said to Dad that we were going to if you wanted to go back and have more, but we were gonna, I'm making something for tomorrow. I need X amount of stuff left over. And he goes, "Oh, that's all right. We're gonna have popcorn tonight." So then I knew, oh, okay, so popcorn's coming tonight.
Right.
So
Yeah, with all the butter and the salt and the goodness.
well, it's he's really cut back on the butter. He's working on the salt part. Sometimes it's way too much, and other times it's not enough. Gotta have a little bit of it.
Yes, yes, indeed.
But what I love on this journey, you could still have buttered popcorn if you want. There's no boundaries, honestly.
Right, right. That's
It's
what I'm
all in the
saying.
choice of tracking, like
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
That's what
can,
I'm saying is that,
yep.
you know, if you realize that that's what's, and sometimes you don't. I mean, there's friends of ours in the summertime, just call and say, "Hey, let's go and get an ice cream." Well, I've already probably, used everything I had to have, but ice cream on a nice hot 90-degree day sounds wonderful.
and
And
with
who's
friends, I mean, that's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, why not? That's the caveat to it. So okay, tomorrow I won't have that ice cream. We won't do it
Mhm.
2 nights in a row. That's all.
Very true. And that's sometimes the hard part is the no boundaries. So a lot of people do struggle with the no boundaries piece because why? That's an identity piece. I've always been in a program that tells me what I'm allowed and I'm not allowed to eat. So you
Mhm.
have to tell me what I can and cannot have because that is who I am and it's what I know when I go on a diet.
But at that point you have to realize it's not a diet, it's a way of your life,
There you go.
which is the difference. That's why Weight Watchers to me was very difficult to follow because I don't know, the point system I never really understood. And prior to that, I don't even remember exactly how you did it, but it just never seemed to gel well with me. And I really never lost that much weight doing it.
Well, they put you in a very severe calorie deficit and have
Right.
you eat very little fat and very little carbs. I mean, not
There's a reason.
nowadays
There's a
because,
reason I don't eat much tuna fish anymore.
yeah,
Old
yeah,
Weight Watchers.
yep. And now they have all these what they call 0 point foods, which are like whole eggs, which I mean, you can eat 5 whole eggs and it's no points, but it's like 400 calories. Like, what the fuck are people doing?
And all the cholesterol.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different conversation. I
Yeah.
don't think it's that bad, but that's I think your age is showing, and I love you, but there's a lot of new data coming out about cholesterol and the things. Either way, I'm just making a point that food has
Right.
calories, and you can't say it doesn't have calories. And
Right.
it's just that's not a way. That's also not a very good way. I will say when I did Weight Watchers, they had like nothing was 0 points, and you still had to like count your fruits and vegetables. But they had these stupid little like bars that they would sell when you'd go to their meetings, and they were like candy. And it's like, man, if I can have an apple for a point, I can have this like fucking candy bar for a point. Absolutely having this candy bar. Well, that didn't like teach me nutritious versus non-nutritious. It was just like a point's a point is a point is a point is a point. And we can say that a calorie is a calorie, but it's not because you can have 100 calories of very like nutritious, dense food that's going to do really great things for your body and fill you up, or you can have 100 calories full of shit, and then in 20 minutes you're going to be like, okay, I'm hungry. I'm really hungry. I need to eat now. You know?
That's why I don't really eat donuts anymore.
Oh God, they're so good though. I had a donut on my son's
Oh,
birthday.
yeah, there I had with my grandbabies. I don't even remember when I came up here 2 weekends ago, I guess, in Colorado. And um, like man, I picked out the biggest long john. They fill it right before your face in three different spots, so you don't have to just like figure out what
Where
end to cut, so you
where's the
can get all the
cream?
custard.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean I'm
Where's the
just
cream?
staring at this thing like it was bigger than my cell phone, and my grandbabies are like, "Oh, GT, like, are you gonna share?" And I'm like, "Of course I'll share." But I had my 2 bites.
And you're like,
That's like all I needed. Like I just like that was that dopamine hit. I can't even tell you the last time I'd had a donut. And me, I like to have my drinks on the weekend, so I'm like, hell no, I'm not having a donut. I'd rather have, a beer later in the day or something,
yep,
right? So
yep.
I just in the whole not filling you up. And then I think of how when the kids were little, we used to just bring them by the box like home, and that would be breakfast with no protein, maybe some milk, so you'd get a little bit of protein, but
Yeah.
hell,
My dad is
those were the days, man.
yeah, my dad is the donut fairy. Somehow boxes of donuts just fucking show up at your house. Boxes of them. So
Well,
I
that's
can
a great
totally,
memory. That's a great memory you'll have,
it
like,
is. And my kids
yeah.
have the same memory. So they will literally say, is the donut fairy coming? We should call Papa. We should call Papa. I'm like, okay, all right. So and it's a great memory, right? But it's also kind of what you're saying. It's like, even with my kids in cereal, I'm like, what protein did you have with your cereal? Even just that little bit of like, what else are like, what can we add to it instead of having to remove everything from the diet? It's like, what can we add to the diet that just kind of balances us out a little better, you know?
Man, if kids didn't eat so much damn cereal, you could get them on Magic Spoon, and I mean, man, that cereal fills you up.
Yeah.
My 30 grams, like, I am like reliving in this house, like being up north. Like, I am so reliving my childhood. I ordered a flipping case of it off Amazon. I cannot find it anywhere in this town, and I'm so annoyed. I got 6 different kinds of Magic Spoon in this case, and I got the
What's Magic
Spoon. I
Spoon?
kid you not.
Oh my
Yes.
God. It's a protein cereal,
It's $10, $8 on sale, 7.50 on sale.
a
If
box.
you measure it, a box lasts you me if I eat it every morning, a week and a half to 2 weeks. I mean, now if you're piling in like you eat,
Measuring,
Captain Crunch or something, then
yeah.
I can't even imagine how you would feel actually eating that much Magic Spoon. But oh man, it was so good.
Yeah.
I have maple syrup. I have cinnamon toast. I have fruity tooty that I
Yep.
eat with my grandbaby. I got peanut butter. That's my favorite with blueberries.
Yeah.
But
And
that's what
that's,
works for me right now, you know?
yeah. And I think finding that piece of what does work for you, my kids will eat, they measure with love, not with a scale. So,
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's what I measured with too, especially Hershey syrup growing up, measured with love. And we always had like the can of Hershey syrup that you had to like crank open and you had to like drizzle out. You're like, oh, a little more came out. Whoops.
Yeah. My
Measured with love.
boys moved to in the teen years, they moved to the what you would call the serving bowls. Like I had to go to the jumbo bags of cereal. I didn't even care what sugar bomb it was. Like we just couldn't keep it. We
Yeah.
could not keep it in stock in our house.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Hmm. And then they go to the serving bowls, and I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yes, we have the ones that are like they're plastic and they're like this big,
Yes. Yeah.
that round, like
Yeah.
super deep. Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So,
Where are
yeah,
you
I mean, I
from,
think
Carrie?
what?
I
Where's
I grew up. in Michigan actually, and lived many, many places. I'm in Traverse City right now, going through some things with my mom. And I live in Colorado. I've lived out there for the last 30 years. And then before that, I was in West Texas for about 14 years. Um, but yeah, so I'm here on Eastern time,
Yay.
kicking my ass right now. No, I'm doing all right. Last night I slept terrible because I knew there was going to be some really big decisions today. I had like bad dreams. Like I haven't even remembered my dreams. I don't know what's going on, but I was so restless last night. It was awful. Horrible, horrible, horrible. So,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so am
yeah.
I.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you. And like when I'm ready to go to bed, here, what is it here? 7:30, I think. And I'm like, oh my God, it's only 5:30 where I'm from. Like, and I'm ready to put my jammies
Well, you first
go to bed.
you're going through the time change, and that isn't easy. And then
Nope.
the fact that it gets dark at 4:30 now instead of, 7 o'clock,
And up
that
here,
doesn't help.
it's before 4. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
horrible. Like
yeah,
2 days ago, it was super gloomy. Well, I haven't seen the sun either in 2 weeks, I think.
right.
Little blotchy pieces. But it was like rainy. So, I mean, it was getting dark at 3. I was having to turn all the lights on in the house. I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem with Michigan, and I know Sarah went through it when she lived in Alaska. She either had all this darkness or she had all this brightness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a good time.
And that's hard on your emotions as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is. It is. It's a big adjustment
It is.
on top of all the stress of the situation. And I'm still trying to work. And yeah, it's just, that was one thing Sarah was going to say is, right now my headspace is it kind of goes along the line with the identity where I could crash and burn. But I was telling my brother yesterday morning, like, I feel like I'm not doing one thing well. Like, there's so many things going on. Oh, and then somebody reminded me at some store something, oh, happy holidays. And I just about wanted to say, you know what, to them, but I didn't. They were being kind because I'm like, oh, yeah, in this mix, that is going on too. But I just, I hate it when I feel this way. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm working to my full potential. I'm going to the gym still. I'm getting a ton of steps in, which is probably the most I've done in a long time every day. So I gotta rethink that one. Like, why am I saying when I'm at home in a routine, I can't get that done? So this is helping my thought process. But gosh, that negative voice starts coming up when you're just feeling like you're not doing one thing quite, I wouldn't say right, but just like not in full, or you're not
Mhm.
excelling at something. Yeah, I'm tracking my food. Yeah, I'm getting movement. Yes, I'm drinking my water, but nothing feels good, if that
Like all
makes
the
sense.
it's like all the pistons aren't firing in the right sequence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
can I ask you a question?
sure.
Okay. I would employ you to dig into why do you feel like you have to do everything at a high level all of the time?
Because that's me.
Identity,
Yes,
right?
that's why
Okay.
I'm bringing this up. Yes,
So what does the data show us?
that I'm doing a great job. In fact, I'm probably doing better than I've ever done, honestly, in this part of my journey.
Hmm. So what
I
can we
told
say?
you about a health appointment I had before I'd even had all this happen. It was probably one of the best appointments I've had, so thank you for those reminders.
And I think that's important because it's like what we always have to go back to like the feeling just because it's there. We can acknowledge that, man, I just feel like I'm not doing anything very well or very good or to my fullest potential maybe is the bigger key. Is like I know I can do it better, but the reality is, do you actually have to do it better? Do you need to do it better? If you do it better, are you going to get some crazy different result? Are you going to like, I don't know, are the clouds all of a sudden in Traverse City going to go, ooh, ah, and the light's going to shine through, and then Terry's going to, I don't know, magically lose 27 pounds tomorrow? Probably not.
And but you know what? I think some of it is too. I was thinking about this. Look out. Um, I think some of it's because I am putting up boundaries. And so I'm not used to doing that and feeling okay with it. Like that's
Mhm.
still something I'm internally working through, where people that know me and see me in action, they're just like, oh my gosh, like you, like my family, for example, they're so worried like I'm going to start cracking at the seams. And it's annoying me because I'm like, am I giving off that vibe? I'm not complaining. No, you're just not saying anything. So I've changed somewhere along the line. I think in a good way is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I just don't necessarily see it that way because there's
Mhm.
so much muck right now that I'm plowing through and slogging through that you just don't see it, right? You don't see the forest through the trees, whatever the saying is, right? Because you're just right in the thick of it right
Yeah.
now. um and I'm not in just survival mode. Like I don't want to be just in survival mode, but that's what I think part of it is I'm somewhere along the line I'm saying, oh, boundary, oh, boundary, oh, like, you know, perhaps not going and sitting at the hospital for 7 hours at a time. And I'm most days okay with that. Some days I get really emotional and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? Like, I'm the daughter. I should be sitting right there. Well, she's resting. I helped feed her. I did all those things, right? So I have to be okay with that. That has to be enough. Work. I have strong people. They're pulling through with our projects right now. I don't have to coach them much. Yay, right? I'm acknowledging them for that. But it just feels not comfortable. Maybe that's the way to say
Mm.
it. It feels very uncomfortable.
Well, when you said that you've probably done the best you've ever done in this kind of situation, right? Let's say in this super high stress, very chaotic, every day you're just kind of living by the, seat of your pants and just you have to go with the
There's
flow.
so much out of our control right now.
Correct, right? So now you have to ask yourself, when was the last time that I was successful in this way with boundaries, with my health, with my food, with my all the things. And I'm not even just talking about like tracking your food, but I'm talking just in general, like where you aren't crashing and burning, where you feel confident enough that even if you didn't track your food, you know you're going to be okay. You don't have to like panic about it. So now you have to ask yourself, when have I ever felt this way or even behaved this way in any kind of similar situation? And if the answer is, I've never been able to do this before, that's why you're feeling like I should be doing more. The expectation should be higher when really you're already well above the expectation of the crash and the burn. And it is
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable,
It's crazy.
and then I
Yeah.
have those around me saying, I'm waiting for you to break or snap or, like, and don't get me wrong, I cry, I have my moments, I get pissed off, whatever. But it's there and then it goes, I process it. And so if I can stop more often and recognize those points of myself, hopefully down the road I'll be able to embrace this and just be more comfortable, shall I say, in what I'm doing and not feel guilty. And it's not all the time the guilt either, but
Mhm.
it comes up.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm meaning just not like with my personal, but or my mom's situation thing, but work, like do I feel guilty because I'm not spending enough time? I work, 10-hour days, 11-hour days some days, right? Okay, that's why I did that because now I can kind of lean off on the throttle a little bit. It's
Mhm.
still things are still going okay.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it's been real interesting. It's exhausting, honestly.
Yeah. And I
I
think
said
that's
that
something,
earlier, but it is emotionally exhausting. That's why I'm like, why can't I sleep? Like, come on.
yeah. Well, everything can't go great. Come on now. You already know this. But like,
That's true.
but honestly, think about it too when you're talking about like, man, these are the reasons why I worked those 11-hour days, even though in the moment I probably hated it and was cussing at the computer
Or
and
I
all
didn't
the
even know
things.
I was doing it.
Well, there's also that,
Yeah.
right? But we can also look at that as I'm reaping the benefit of setting myself up, even when I didn't realize I was setting myself up for this moment that I was like, okay, this is actually why I was doing that. Didn't know it then. And now I know because I put in that extra work and that hard, and it can be with work and it can be with your health and it can be with all the things. This is what it set me up for. I mean, think about all the times I remember the very first time that you traveled for work and you were like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I've never done this before. Like, right? And it's like every single time that you've traveled, that has set you up for literally this moment I would say the last 8 months, where everything has been hit and miss and on the go and last minute and over here and you're traveling and you're doing this and daughter's over here, son's going here, we're moving, we're doing all the things, all those little tiny things were compounding effects of all you did was on that one little work trip just executed. And then you went on another work trip and you executed. And then you went on vacation with the hubster and executed. And then you went on another work trip and executed. Then you visited your daughter and executed. And all of those times have led up to this moment here where it's like, I'm just executing. I'm
Yeah.
just
Because
doing it.
that's true. Thank you for pointing that out. Because it's not this big freaking deal. It's
No.
just part of me,
Yeah.
which is really cool to be able to say that out loud
Yeah.
and to feel okay with it. Like, you know, I still like Saturday afternoon walked myself. I walked at least to a brewery, like, many blocks away, but I walked and chose salad, but I had a couple beers and stuff, walked myself home. I still got up and went to the gym, Sunday morning. Like, okay, yeah, I had my little moment, and
Hmm.
had some emotions and stuff and talked to a couple friends and family. But yeah, in the end, I came back to it. And that's what I am really excited for myself about. That is a glimmer of happiness in this very hard situation right now that I'm in overall. So, um, thank you for talking me through that a little bit on this call. I appreciate it. I
Hmm.
didn't mean to hog it so much, but
It's okay. Hog away.
kind of happened. Dang it. Carol asking me about Michigan.
Sorry. I've been stuck here all my life. So
I know. I constantly go back to why did you guys never move before you had children? Like what were we thinking?
jobs,
I
we both
know,
had
but
jobs.
get a job anywhere.
Yeah, but we didn't.
I mean, that's why we
And
left Traverse City so young. We couldn't have made a run at it that we did in this life
Yeah.
up here. There's no way.
Yeah. I get
it's
it.
it's it's life. And you know, it's hard when you have to let your kids go and do what they feel that they need to do at the time too. And it is what it is. Life is what it is. And
Right.
as much as I wanted to be a hover over mom, I knew that that wasn't healthy for my kids either.
Mhm.
And, sometimes their decisions weren't necessarily the best, but
Are you talking about me?
well, indirectly, yes, you're one, your brother's another, and your sister's another. I mean, 3 out of the 4 kids have gone through a divorce.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It's not necessarily what I had wanted for any of them, but you know, they all have survived and seem to be in happier situations for the most part, other than possibly one of them. And it is what it is. Life is what it is. Um,
I
but
know you still could have like moved to Florida or something. That's all I'm saying. That would have been helpful.
well, we didn't.
I
And
know.
so if
I
we
mean, I didn't
had
either.
moved,
So here I am
and
killing it.
who knows what life would have brought had we moved, you
Yeah.
know?
Very
Who
true.
knows? that you don't know where you'd be if you, like in your case, Terry, you don't know what life would be if you stayed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what my life would have been had we moved,
Yep.
so
Yep.
it is, life is what it is. It's whatever it has ended up being. But, you know, for us, we were both here for our parents until his parents decided to move north, and um, then it became an issue because we weren't around, and we were
Mm-hmm.
2.5 hours away, which is not Colorado away, but still, those things are always a problem. But can't sit and think about what if this or what if
I
that.
know it was more rhetorical, Mom. It's okay.
I know, and I love you still.
I still love you too.
Aw. Well, I'm gonna work on leveling out my roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's the hard part of, where you're good ebb and flow. It's, the reality is emotions are going to take us up and down, but it's like, how long do they keep us up and down and how high and low do we go? And that's
I
really
think
what it's
women,
about.
I think women are harder on themselves than men too,
Oh, for
by
sure.
far,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
far.
Sure.
We take
Absolutely.
we take everything kind of personal, and they don't.
It's a true
So
story.
hang in there. We
Thank
all will.
you. Yes. Thank you for this support and the laughs tonight. I needed that. I was getting a bad headache and then it's gone. So I must have needed to do that. Thank you.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, I will let you ladies go. I appreciate you, and I will post the this up in the group. And don't forget, check-ins are tomorrow. So if you want in, drop in tomorrow, and I'll be around. So
Thank you.
thank you. We'll see you guys
Thank you.
later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.